The member for McEwen will cease interjecting. I just warned the member for Moreton, in case you didn't hear, as the member for McEwen was interjecting. The member for Isaacs.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is again to the Foreign Minister. I refer to the Foreign Minister's acceptance of a media tablet, airfares and accommodation from Huawei. Has the Foreign Minister ever advocated within government in the interest of Huawei?
The Minister for Foreign Affairs.
Mr Speaker, a number of members of this House, particularly when in opposition, have accepted sponsored travel. Indeed, the member for Rankin last year accepted travel from Huawei. I believe this is the corporation to which you refer. So when the member for Rankin accepted sponsored travel by Huawei, I assume he declared it, as did I, as did a number of other members of this House. And there was an iPad, because Huawei is a technology company, and I donated the iPad to a school. I didn't use it, I donated it to a school. So I question where the Shadow Attorney General is seeking to go with this. Because, Mr Speaker, if you want to see an example of money buying influence, look no further than Senator Sam Dastyari. That's where we have an example of money buying influence. Not only does he have his personal bills paid by this Chinese entity, but then he goes to the Commonwealth Parliamentary Office.
The Minister for Foreign Affairs will resume her seat. Members on my right will cease interjecting. The Minister for Infrastructure, the Minister for Foreign Affairs will resume her seat. The member for Isaacs on a point of order.
Yes, thank you.
No, you state the point of order. You don't restate the question. The member for Isaacs on a point of order.
Relevance, Mr Speaker.
The member for Isaacs
Foreign
will
Minister
resume
was
his
asked
seat.
whether she had...
The member for Isaacs will resume his seat. There is no point of order. Just before I call the Foreign Minister, the member for Isaacs well knows that he asked a very long question and he's taken the point of order. I'm entitled to rule on the point of order as soon as it's made. There is no point of order. The Minister for Foreign Affairs has the call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. So, having received money into his pocket to pay his own personal debts by a Chinese entity,
Member for
Senator
Isaacs
Sam
has already
Dastyari
been
then calls a
warned.
press conference at the Commonwealth Parliamentary Offices. He stands at a dais with the Commonwealth emblem at the front, with Australian flags behind, and with his Chinese benefactors, then declares a position on the South China Sea which is totally at odds with the Labor Party and with Australian government policy. That's when you're bought by a Chinese corporation. That's what Sam Dastyari did. And what I like about this tawdry little story is the way that the Leader of the Opposition stood by Senator Dastyari. He said, quote, in terms of Senator Dastyari, he's spoken to me directly about this issue. Quote, I don't buy into Mr Turnbull's petty insinuations of anything untoward in terms of Senator Dastyari's motivations. Well, Senator Dastyari knew that he had been bought by a Chinese corporation. That is when money buys influence. Whereas in the case of the Australian government, our position on the South China Sea has been consistent throughout, before the arbitration, after the arbitration, and it is in Australia's national interest.
The member for Beaumont.